Here you see it, at least I'm in Spain now, and I always see when out on the beach, there's always these women, these older women jumping in at December and they're having their cold plunge.
God bless
And
them.
I've
Yeah.
seen this. I used to live in Russia. I used to live in Ukraine, and going to the banya or the bathhouse, you
Hmm.
always have the cold and the hot. It's kind of it's ancestral wisdom when you think about Finland and Sweden, all these cold countries, same thing.
Absolutely.
Doing they have these clubs called the polar bear clubs, and
Hmm.
so there is something to this. It's nothing new. This is
This is not a new concept. Yeah. So this is what I also love about your hacks is they're really what I would consider ancestral. Like our great grandparents, depending on where we're from, probably did something like this.
yes. And when you think about red light therapy, it's just a device for people who can't get out and to watch a sunrise or
Right.
sunset.
Right. Or you live where I live in Seattle, where,
Yeah.
6 months a year, it's dark by 4:30, maybe not six
Yeah.
months, but it feels like 6 months. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, so when you think about some of these hacks and these biohacks and these
Hmm.
devices and the science and the research, the new technology, it's just kind of very often it's just supporting the ancestral wisdom into a modern lifestyle. Right. We
Right.
don't do the things, we don't live like we used to. So we're trying to
No.
create technology to mimic that. And sometimes it's great and it works. Sometimes it's not as good, but it's
Hmm.
better than doing nothing. And sometimes, right?
You're absolutely right. And there's such an emphasis now on grounding and being outside and turning your lights down at night. And, I love the conversations that we're having
Yeah,
in
and you
these
have a
areas.
grounding mat yourself, right?
I do. I have a grounding mat and yeah, I've got all the hacks. I mean, I'm a hacker been a
You
hacker for a
are.
long time and it's been so fun. And I can tell when I'm not doing my hacks. My brain is fuzzy, my energy is low, and my relationships are not as good. And so
Mhm.
that's a sign that, oh my gosh, I just snapped at my husband, or, I was just thinking really negative thoughts about somebody or something. It's like, okay, time to recenter. This morning I got up early and walked around my yard barefoot. And I'm really into listening to birds right now. It's spring in Seattle. It's absolutely incredible. And I have this app on my phone. It's called the Merlin Bird app. It's at a Cornell University. And it's a recording device and it's recording all these birds and then telling me all the different birds that are in my yard. It's so
How
cool.
cool is
It's
that?
amazing. Right. But 6 minutes of listening to birds gets you into the parasympathetic, that rest and digest, calm and peaceful. And I thought, wow, I've got this, really exciting podcast today. I want to be grounded and settled. And when you're grounded and settled, it's easy to use your brain.
Absolutely.
When you're frazzled, your brain, you can't gather your thoughts properly. Yeah, the hacks are good.
Good for you. Good
So
for you getting
speaking
out
of
there.
hacks, if you had a time machine, Zora, and you could go back in time, what two hacks do you wish you would have started 20, 30 years ago?
My goodness. Oh my goodness. You're 30 years ago. What hacks would I have started? Probably getting outdoors into sunlight first
Mhm.
thing in the morning. I do it now, but I think that would have been a really good thing when you're raising kids. When I think about 20
Sure.
years ago, my kids were 4. I guess
Yeah.
more or less. And that, you get frazzled. You don't have time. And I know it doesn't take much. And I was
Mhm.
living at that time in Moscow. Cold makes Seattle sound like it's paradise.
Very true. You
No
win.
sunlight whatsoever, snowing. And I remember looking out every morning, gosh, I wish. But even if it's not sunny, you still can get the benefits of light, the sunlight necessarily. I mean, there are certain wavelengths, but we can get a lot of benefits just by getting outdoors. So, we had a teeny tiny balcony. I could have opened the windows and just try to get a little bit of light in my eyeballs. And then that probably would have set me up as well for the rest of the day. I think it's such a simple hack that I would have loved to, yeah, could have benefited from back then.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a second one?
I would say I wish I don't know how much of a hack it is, but hacked my hormones in a way that understood at the time. It was, let's say I I was having perimenopausal symptoms, but not really knowing what the word perimenopause is or understanding. So, in fact, hacking, a lot of biohacking is all about testing, measuring, and assessing, looking at blood work or urine testing or something. And I didn't know anything about that back then, but I wish I kind of knew about my hormones back then and measured everything when it was quote unquote good, or my levels were high or it more or less. And then if there was a little dip or something going on, because I remember in my mid 30s, I was crying for no reason. Like I couldn't understand what was going on, because it was like there was no trigger and there was no, like, I just started bawling.
No.
I was like, what's happening? I thought I was losing my marbles, and it must have been just sort of a drop in progesterone, which is very common in your mid 30s. But I had no idea. I thought I was losing my mind. So if I was aware of that, and I was like, oh, maybe I should go test my hormones and like, let's
Mhm.
see. But that would have been a really cool hack to understand. And then just use a little progesterone cream when I'm feeling weepy for no reason. Like you just rub it
Mhm.
on and done. Great hack. I just didn't know.
Yeah, those are two really great hacks. And of course, we don't have our, magic wand to be able to go back. But would you say that for most hacks, it's never too late?
It's never too late. It's better late than never, let's say.
Mhm.
Certain things, I always have this discussion with every trainer I meet, because I've heard that by the time you reach mid 20s, you've stopped building muscle cells. Like you can't create any more fast twitch or slow twitch muscles. You can make them grow and they'll shrink and you can get hypertrophy, but there's a limit to when you can sort of develop and create these things. And I thought that was really interesting, that if I knew, I'm telling my kids all the time, like, just go train, build muscle now.
Mhm.
Because after that, it's done. I mean, not that it's late, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing to do things early. And that's why I used to always say aging is inevitable and suffering is optional. And the same thing, I always say longevity starts in childhood. So the earlier, the better.
Mhm.
But it's better late than never. And I think it's harder as you get older. And sometimes I don't know, when I was just starting this menopause journey, I had people around me saying, "Oh, you should slow down and it's time to relax and chill and you don't need to train all the time." I'm like, "Wait a second. No, I think menopause is a time to speed up. Like we
Yeah.
have to work harder. It used to be
Yeah.
able to build muscle easily when I was younger. Well, it's harder now, so now I got to work harder." Like, so I
Yeah,
think I
you're
got to
right.
speed up a
Yeah.
little bit and not slow down. I mean, not make yourself life crazy and cortisol all over the place, but just saying it's for me. And again, everyone's different. There's some people who, again, that works great for them, but I still have a lot of things I want to do in my life. And I think I need to work a little harder. So yeah, it's never true. I've never done a triathlon and I want to do one. I want to do one. So
Okay, you go, girl. Yeah, that's awesome.
I
I
don't think it's late.
support you. And yeah, I'll be cheering you on. And I have to be careful of my mindset because now what I'm saying is I'm tired. Well, I'm 60. And you know what? I don't want to buy into that because yeah,
That's self-inflicted ageism, which is the
okay.
worst ageism in the
Yeah,
world.
you're right. And what I'm, what I am going to do is reframe and yes, maybe I'm tired, but I was also tired at 40. So I'm going to reframe and say, I'm
Yes.
enjoying this season in my life. And I worked out really hard yesterday. So today is a rest day and
Yes.
just reframe. And I do find that when I lift really heavy, I do need a little more rest the next day. And that's honestly, if I took a look back, I probably felt the same way at 40 that I do at 60. But I feel like I'm stronger at 60 than I was at 40 because in my 40s, I was really just doing cardio, running lots of half marathons and all the
Yeah.
things. And now I'm lifting 4 days a week. And,
Yeah.
it's so interesting how my body's changed and things, don't fit like they used to. But I'm also reframing that and saying, well, it's because my muscles are bigger, you
Yeah.
know, And I love being stronger because muscle is the currency of aging, and we need to have as much currency as possible.
Absolutely. And changing that mindset, I'm sure you've heard of it. Dr. Becca Levy had incredible research on older adults and looking at them through part of their lifespan. I can't remember if it was 20 years or I don't know what it was, but then she looked at the people who died and the people who survived, and she found out that if you have a positive attitude towards aging, like, oh, it's not so bad, or this, I'm going to be, stronger or wiser or whatever it is, those people lived 7.5 years longer than those who
What?
thought more negatively. Yes. 7.5 years is kind of a long
That's
time just by having
huge.
a good attitude about aging.
My gosh, Zora, that's incredible.
Yeah.
7.5 years when you're 80,
Mhm.
that feels like a lifetime. That's incredible. Because there's a
Yeah.
lot I haven't done. There's a lot of places I want to visit. There's a lot of volunteering I still have left in me. And I want that 7.5 years.
Absolutely. Who
Yeah.
doesn't? And you want equality. You want equality. So
I
the
want
7.5,
super high quality. Yeah. I want to be surfing until my last day on the planet. So
I love that.
well, it sounds like you're talking about, I use this a lot, Tigger versus Eeyore. I always want to be a Tigger.
Yeah.
And I am a Tigger, and my husband's a Tigger also. But it's interesting in some of our friend relationships, we can see like, she or he's a little bit of an Eeyore, but then they're married to a Tigger and Tiggers try to get him up and energize.
Yeah.
It's funny, but I know I want to maintain just that really great attitude and really just embrace life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love it that you own your age. I think it's really important to disrupt those ages stereotypes. This is what 60 looks like. Oh, this is what 54 looks like. I don't try to be a 40-year-old. I hate that expression. 50 is the new 40 or whatever, like 60 is the new 40. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's so bad. It's like just be a friggin' awesome 60-year-old.
Right. I just don't even care about that comparison because I mean, the only thing I would say is I wish I had my 40-year-old skin with my 60-year-old brain, but that's not going to happen. But I am going to tag your podcast that I listened to earlier today about the copper peptides, which we're out of time, but I am going to buy what you were talking about because I am telling you, I knew nothing about copper peptides and I want that gal's skin.
Yeah.
And you're also using it on your scars, right? From
That
your
yeah, it
hip
started with
surgery.
the scars because it was recommended by my doctor
Hmm.
and for the scars. And then I dove deeper and I was like, wait a second, I should be using this on my face.
Wow.
And that's how I got sort of into this rabbit hole of copper peptides. But it's really important that you get good quality ones as well, because there's a lot of stuff. Like if you heard in the interview, she was talking about people just put this blue dye in it, but it's because it's blue. Anybody's listening now, I don't know what copper peptides. It's not copper color. It's actually blue. And you will see that there's medical grade copper peptides, and then there's just the regular stuff. And I think if you're going to try to experiment with it, then yeah, you get the medical grade and see if it works for you or not. But I
Hmm.
think it's definitely a key player now in my skincare routine and my scars. I notice now I've had 3 months of using, actually four now on the scars, and I had a 3 month experiment, one scar with and one scar without,
I
and you could
heard you talk about that. And do you
yeah.
see a difference between the scar with?
Yes, you could see it. It's much smoother and the texture's different in the one that I use, copper peptide. So now I'm using it on both because now it's just got it's the damage on the other one.
Very interesting. And I have a lot of scars I've had 5 breast cancer surgeries and just had my most recent surgery 3 months ago. And I am going to order that product today and start putting on the scars because I never really thought that much about scars, but scars are really impactful
Mm-hmm.
to our body from a lymphatic perspective and a blood flow, like all things that probably nobody ever told you and nobody ever told me. So it's really in our best interest to try to get those scars, I'll just say healthy.
Yeah, you want them to be healthy. And I think
Hmm.
I wonder, it's people have different attitudes about their scars. Some people are like, it's my war wounds and I'm proud of them. I've had 2 C-sections myself, so it doesn't bother me at all. One,
Hmm.
you can't really see them, but two, it's kind of like a reminder that, oh, I had these babies. And then with the hips, I don't know, it doesn't bother me so much because I don't want them to be big and all that. But I think it's just a part of my life. But but it's a different, I'm wondering if it's different. And you tell me, when you have a mastectomy or something, a reminder that you have or had breast cancer, is that a different attitude, or or can you change the perspective and say, no, this is my experience and I'm like, quote unquote, proud of somehow, or these war wounds, or what is your perspective?
That's a really good, hard question. I would say I don't see the scars because they're under my breast, but I know it's there. But for me, it's more of an issue that the breast is just, it's not, it doesn't match the other breast. It's, it looks very different. So it is a scar in a way. And it is a reminder. I do in my stronger moments reframe and say, look what you've been through. That's amazing. You're here. Your marriage is strong. Your relationships are strong. So I do reframe. But then there are times, which is probably a whole other podcast, where I feel like I was so overtreated for cancer that it makes me angry.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because it's a reminder. You have a scar, it's a reminder. And it
It's a
could be good, it could
reminder.
be bad.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is trying to shift the perspective, because you
Hmm.
could go down that rabbit hole
Yep.
of this sucks. It's why me, or I could have done something, or, it can be really negative, and that does nothing for the body. It does nothing
It
to help you.
does nothing for the body. So I'm choosing joy. I'm choosing generosity with myself of like, hey, you made the best decisions you could at the time. This was the treatment at the time. The treatment today is probably different. And I'm doing my best every day to work on my own mindset, but also educate others
Yeah.
to get
Thanks.
lots
Thanks to you.
second opinions. Yeah.
Past, right? You are sharing so much, and I think it's huge, especially a woman who's just got diagnosed. Where are the resources? What does she do? Who does she believe? And you are walking and through this journey, and I think part of the healing or going through this procedure is connecting with people who have the information or resources. So, thank you for doing what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on Why Did I Get Cancer?
Thank you so much for having me. It was really
Yeah.
fun.